as much as an $8 trillion opportunity.
This is Exchanges at Goldman Sachs, and I'm Allison Nathan, a senior strategist in Goldman Sachs Research. Today, we're going to be talking about the Metaverse. What exactly is it? And is it hype or the next big thing? To help shed light on the topic, I'm joined by my colleague, Eric Sheridan, who covers the U.S. internet sector for Goldman Sachs Research.
Now, before we find out what Goldman Sachs said about the Metaverse, let's find out who they are. Let's put it in context.
Goldman Sachs had humble beginnings. Cue the typical grassroots backstory of an underdog making it against all odds. The firm was originally started by Marcus Goldman in 1869. And for the first 100 or so years of its existence, it was a pretty regular yet very successful financial firm. Marcus Goldman immigrated to the US in 1848 and started brokering IOUs for entrepreneurs and startups. Basically, he had clients who would give him money. He would then use that money to issue small loans in the form of short-term IOUs to people who wanted to start businesses. Almost immediately after starting, Goldman managed to transact up to $5 million worth of these IOUs a year. In 1882, Goldman's son-in-law Samuel Sachs joined the business, and the name was officially changed to what we know it as today. Business boomed, and within just a few years, Goldman Sachs was turning over $30 million worth of IOUs in a year, and had over $100,000 in capital, around $2.7 million in today's money. Goldman Sachs was the quintessential American dream come true. The family-owned firm built itself up from nothing, and by the time the boom of the 1920s came around, it was ready to start making some serious money.
So, in 2022, the Goldman Sachs Group, Incorporated, is a leading global investment banking, security, and investment management firm that provides a wide range of financial services to a substantial and diversified client base that includes corporations, financial institutions, governments, and individuals.
One element that is getting a lot of attention is the Metaverse. Start by explaining, first of all, what is the Metaverse?
So the metaverse broadly is the concept that we are going to take what our physical world experiences and broadly move them into elements of mixed reality, virtual reality, and eventually augmented reality. The idea that you will have experiences around interoperability, creator communities that are very immersive, some of which you'll experience through consumer headsets, some of which you might experience through the camera on your phone. But they basically are taking what we know of now as digital experiences, predominantly your mobile smartphone or your desktop computer, and bringing them to a more immersive layer than they are today.
It's important to know we don't need Goldman Sachs to give us the $8 trillion estimate of what the metaverse will produce in monetizing these opportunities. We don't. See, the global market, the global crypto market by itself, it has already surpassed Apple and Microsoft in terms of market cap, half the time in its existence. So what we are looking at now is legacy corporation that's historically been monetizing off a capitalist society for over 100 years, an informed, intelligent point of reference when it comes to estimating an allocation of obtainable market share in this printing press moment. In digital, now that could be a phrase. In digital, I coined the term. I meant to say the industrial revolution of our time is digital, and it's happening now. Black people need to redefine relationship with finance now.
So you talked about the potential evolution of the metaverse ahead. How big is the potential opportunity? How do you quantify that? Think about the size.
Yeah, a headline number to sort of throw out is we think this could be as much as an $8 trillion opportunity on the revenue or the monetization side. How do we think about that? We look at the digital economy today, which is broadly, roughly about 25% of the global economy. There's various elements of online travel that are 60% penetrated, and then there's elements that are single-digit penetrated of the global economy for online versus offline experiences. We see the digital economy continuing to grow. And on top of that, we see a virtual economy that can grow within and alongside this digital economy. And that's how we come up with a number for various outcomes, $1 to $12 trillion with $8 trillion at the midpoint of potential outcomes in terms of monetization from this thematic element of the evolution of the internet.
So $8 trillion at the midpoint. So let's just take $1 trillion. What can we do with $1 trillion? Well, that can cover private colleges, $30,000 each tuition for about 8 million people for all 4 years of college. It can stretch from the earth to the sun. Imagine the quantity of that, it's just a lot of paper or cotton. From the earth to the sun. $1 trillion could be over $3,000 to every man, woman, and child living in the United States. And you can cover the cost of living for roughly 100 million families. That's not even considering the list going on and on and on, and not even including the leftover 7 trillion from the 8 at the midpoint. So black people, we're an estimated 14% of the economy. That makes us about roughly 47 million people in the United States that identify as black. So are you kind of seeing the picture Goldman Sachs is painting yet? We have to consider we are still having plenty of room to play with. Beneath these sobering realities, however, with the substantial buying power and influence we have, to the sun, we have a combined spending of all black households, $835 billion. So that percentage has increased over the past 2 decades by 5%. We've outpaced the growth of the combined spending power of white households. So we're spending more, yet not including ourselves in more opportunities. So we're left with less. So regardless of discrimination or lack of education, the opportunity to monetize in the metaverse, activities right now provide an economic reset button to establish financial inclusivity. So basically we can build new industries in a digital landscape that cross over to the real world.
Really interesting data points. When they changed the name of the company from Facebook to Meta, Facebook disclosed that in 2021, they were going to lose about $10 billion in the company itself in investments in what they call the metaverse through a division of theirs called Virtual Reality Labs. That's just one company making these investments towards the future. Alongside of that, in 2021, you saw in excess of $10 billion of private capital.
That's where this comes in. Decentralized finance. That's where this comes in. Decentralized finance is a developing area at the intersection of blockchain and digital assets and financial services. Essentially, we can build any type of business without restriction that has unlimited income potential. And people are doing this right now. So I know this is a handful. So we're going to wrap up. Next time, we're going to go over some user cases. We're going to find the best ways to monetize from this space. For now, be billion.
Extra credit. And, if we think about the applications of this, we're already seeing evidence of the metaverse in video games. As you mentioned, I also have an 11-year-old son who has the Oculus, stuck to his face a lot of the time. And these devices are blurring the lines between virtual and physical events. Maybe talk about how it's playing out in the gaming industry more specifically.
Yeah, so you've seen examples where companies like Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft within Microsoft, these are all various platforms that have hosted sporting events, concerts, music festivals, luxury fashion shows. I'm not loath to admit that my family has sat down and watched a concert inside Fortnite together as a family. That is something that is a different experience than we all had 3, 4, 5 years ago. And I think what you're going to see over time is the potential for it to evolve beyond just gaming and for more experiences to come into these types of experiences and expand the potential footprint beyond gaming.